Hi, I'm Elise McFalls with Raising My Zone, and we're Duke Data Ventures, and our project is on looking at equity gaps in North Carolina CTE programs and what we can do to ameliorate those issues.
Yes, so first it's important to establish our current context. So career and technical education programs allow students to develop useful career skills, obtain credentials and certifications, and most importantly, build a strong bridge towards future job opportunities. But it's evident that this opportunity is not available for all students to experience. During and after the Jim Crow era of formal school segregation, Black students were strategically placed into technical education programs and tracked into lower quality programs that just led to lower job outcomes. And nationally, female students are traditionally overrepresented in health sciences, whereas male students dominate the STEM or information technology clusters. So let's look at our problem and scale. In order to be effective, CTE programs must reflect the demands of their communities as well as the demands of their job market. We wanted to focus on K through 8 and secondary CTE enrollment by the state of North Carolina and by individual schools in NC to really address this problem. Our guiding question was, how do career trajectories for students from disadvantaged school contexts differ from those from other contexts? We were also thinking about what CTE concentrations are most common in each system and why, and what occupations do students from each system commonly take on. With our results, we really hope to highlight the importance of a holistic approach, and we will use this to guide policymakers in what areas to focus on. So we utilize Git for version control, Python and R for cleaning and analysis, and Shiny apps for visualizing and hosting our dashboard. Our overall approach was three-pronged. So we looked at state, school, and background factors, and our approach is listed here.
And so here we have CTE enrollment by gender, which we can clearly see a divide in what men and women tend to enroll in, which is again highlighted in previous literature. And here we also see career clusters and their expected wages. And overall, the biggest takeaway from this graph is that white students are more tracked into CTE clusters that end up paying more than their other counterparts. And so given this data, we wanted to create a widget that would help us look at possible reasons why these disparities exist and how we can help ameliorate them. And so here is just looking at overall North Carolina CTE participation rates by race, and we can look at secondary and post-secondary to see the disparities race-wise. And then moving forward, we have CTE participation concentrators by different factors, such as whether a school was a Title I school, and so looking at the percentage of students who are concentrating in these career clusters, and we can also aggregate by the career cluster itself. So you can see that in many ways, the proportions aren't as different as one might expect, showing that the common interested clusters are similar for these demographics. And then finally, we have an enrollment dashboard, and so looking at disparities and where CTE clusters are. And here we can see that most, comparing like CSI schools to non-CSI schools, non-CSI schools have more prevalence of these clusters compared to their counterparts, which could aid in these disparities.
So now let's talk about our recommendations. So I think the first and foremost thing is to really present a culturally relevant CTE curriculum for students. As it was seen, Title I schools and non-Title I schools had similar top career clusters, but lower rates in participation. And empirical research demonstrates that education must be multidimensional and transformative, specifically for marginalized groups. We also really want to emphasize comprehensive data collection and tracking. The schools that were found to have the most data on CTE concentrators were vocational, alternative, and also magnet schools. And finally, just having a targeted intervention to promote participation. With this more intersectional data, policymakers can know which subgroups to focus on, such as Black and Latinx communities, Title I schools, and gender minorities. And then looking at our limitations, overall, we really had a lack of high-level data, on individual schools school-wide. We reached model reliability issues because we personally mapped CTE to occupation, and so some things can be inaccurate. And then going back to our previous idea, just overall representation of subgroups in our data, because we do not want to exacerbate inequities by not representing them